Hey kids, it's Pastor Ricard here, and I hope you've had an awesome Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'm sorry I wasn't able to be here yesterday. Something came up and it required me not to be in the office. But that doesn't mean you're not getting a Bible verse this week. I'm going to give you your Bible verse today, and it comes to us from Luke 2:49. Now, before I teach you this Bible verse, I just want to tell you some background information regarding it. Well, if you remember from Sunday's lesson, we learned about Jesus when he was a boy. He was 12 years old. And him and his family went to Jerusalem each and every year to celebrate the Passover. Well, after they celebrated the Passover, Mary, Joseph, and their huge group of friends and family decided to go home back to Nazareth. Well, Mary and Joseph thought that Jesus was with their other friends and family, so they traveled a day and realized, oh no, Jesus is not here. So Mary and Joseph, for 3 days, they went and looked for Jesus. And when they found Jesus, they found him in the temple. And Jesus said, "Why were you looking for me? Didn't you know I must be in my Father's house?" Now, Jesus, he wasn't saying this to be snarky to his parents, but he was saying this not only for them, but for you, that you may know where to find Jesus. And this is why we're learning this Bible verse, because it's so important. We don't have to look for Jesus. We know where Jesus is. And he is wherever his word is preached and wherever we receive his sacraments of baptism or the Lord's Supper. So Jesus is in word and sacrament. So that's the background information for you. If you want to know more about it, just tune in on to last Sunday's sermon, which is on Facebook and YouTube. All right, well, let's get going to what you came here for. Here's the Bible verse. "Why were you looking for me? Didn't you know I must be in my Father's house?" So we're going to split this into two parts. The first part is this. Jesus said, "Why were you looking for me?" And for this one, I want you to get your binoculars out like this and just put them up to your eyes and look around like you're looking for something. So say this. Jesus said, "Why were you looking for me?" All right, let's do that one 2 more times. Jesus said, "Why were you looking for me?" Jesus said, "Why were you looking for me?" All right, here's the next part. And for this one, we're going to say Father's house. And when we say Father's house, I want you to make a little triangle over your head to symbol as a representation or to look like a house. So you're going to pretend to look like a house. All right? So here it is. "Didn't you know that I must be in my Father's house?" 2 more times. "Didn't you know that I must be in my Father's house?" "Didn't you know that I must be in my Father's house?" All right. Well, why don't we put the whole thing together and say it 3 times? All right. "Why were you looking for me? Didn't you know that I must be in my Father's house?" Jesus said, "Why were you looking for me? Didn't you know that I must be in my Father's house?" And Jesus said, "Why were you looking for me? Didn't you know that I must be in my Father's house?"